10, 9.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this June 3rd, 2019 evening. And Chris, we are in the month of June, which means that the Olympia is right around the corner. So,
I hope it's not too close.
It's probably closer than a lot of these bodybuilders. It's closer than Shawn Rhoden would like, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that was the point.
Well, how was Shawn doing? I saw he guest posed at the Atlantic States this past week.
Peeled.
Yeah, no, it wasn't peeled. Someone sent me the video, and they said, now that Rhoden is training with Charles Glass, what a change. I'm like, first of all, idiot. It's not like Shawn doesn't train. I said, Charles Glass is not going to do anything to him in 3 weeks since the Pittsburgh Pro. I said he looks the same. I said he's still fat. I said he's just bigger. That's all. He looks like he put some size back on.
Yeah, that's a good
analysis.
I would say it's an accurate analysis. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's into his Olympia mode. Look, you and I were discussing this before the show. We were talking about how you were telling me how Shawn can eat 25 grams of carbs per day, and that's what you did for the Olympia last year.
Sometimes 22.
22, and he grows from it. And I said, well, that's why he's Mr. Olympia, because he can do that. It's not fair, that he can do that, but that's why he's the most genetically gifted guy on the planet right now, and he's been crowned Mr. Olympia. Anyone else you do that with, and they look like absolute crap.
Without it. That's
why Shawn Rhoden, is Mr. Olympia, because he's a gifted athlete, and that's just the fact. And so you can be jealous all you want that he can show up in Pittsburgh looking fat and small, and then 3 weeks later be bigger and fat like he was at the Atlantic States this weekend, and then in 3 weeks from now we'll probably be saying, holy mackerel. And he'll probably eat, a total of 100 grams of carbs from now to the Olympia, right, Chris?
Yeah. If we have to go the nuclear option, which we've done, we'll go the nuclear option.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, like I said, it only really, Shawn said it himself, that it only really matters what he looks like on the Olympia stage, which is true to a certain degree in terms of winning the Olympia. That's true. But as far as marketing yourself and, representing yourself as Mr. Olympia, that might not be true. So, when you're second at the Olympia, your obligations and your status is not as important as when you win the Olympia, because now it's like winning the presidency, So you have to, people think you should be representing the sport. What do you think about that? You're his coach. All your job is to do is get him in shape when he asks. But what do you think about the way Shawn looked at the Pittsburgh earlier this year?
He's fat and small. What can you say about it?
Right, but do you think that he has an obligation as Mr. Olympia to represent himself?
I do, to a point. Yeah. Yes, because you want to look the role, and it's okay to be fat and small some of the year, but you're getting closer to the show, and yeah, I would agree with you. It's important to be to look at least like that you're getting close.
Do you think that obviously whatever he did, we don't know why he did it. We'll never find out the true reason why he got lazy and didn't train for the whole year. But let's say he wins the Olympia again this year, which is that would be an accolade. That would certainly validate him as not a fluke champion and as the real deal. You think he would maybe up his game the following year, as Mr. Olympia? You think maybe it might sink in, hey, you know what? I'm good at this. Maybe I should really start representing and conducting myself in a business-like way, like a Jay Cutler maybe.
Well, I think he conducts himself in a business-like way. Do you mean just like staying in better shape? And
yeah, him and Jay talk. I'm surprised Jay didn't say, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Well, I think that's, I don't know, because if you win again, you might say, "Geez, what I did was right."
Well, it's right to win, but is it really right a bit? Because let's face it, what's the window of winning the Mr. Olympia? I mean, Shawn's in his 40s now.
45.
Yeah, so maybe he's got a couple more. Maybe let's give him 2 more. Let's give him like Frank Zane 3 Olympia wins. Okay, after that, what does he do? How does he make money? He should be able to parlay that Olympia championship into future earning potential. And I think that's all judged by the people who will pay him after the Olympia is over by how he conducted himself as Mr. Olympia. And I think that's why Jay is so in demand, because people just like, this guy is, I know if I hire this guy, he's going to be 100% on the ball. I remember we did a Bros versus Pros out east. And this is, I think, right after Jay stopped being Mr. Olympia, I believe it was. And these guys wanted to get him out there. I'm like, look, I don't know what it's going to take to get Jay out there. I'm like, I asked Jay, I got his number, I gave him a number. The guy offered him, whatever he offered him. It wasn't a ridiculous amount of money. It was not super high, but it was. I think he gave him cash or something like that. And Jay fucking got on an airplane like on 2 days' notice and went out there and he stayed there the whole day. He talked to all the fans. He interviewed with me. I mean, he gave these guys their money's worth and then some. And I guarantee those guys are probably carrying Jay Cutler's supplement line right now because of that. So that's the way you conduct yourself business-wise,
Yeah, well, Jay's different. I mean, everyone knows that, and that's why he's the. They hired him to be the ambassador for the Olympia. I mean, for God's sake, it's almost like he's in it.
Isn't it funny now that he's the ambassador for the Olympia, and before Dan Solomon got there, that they wouldn't even give him free tickets?
Yep.
I can't say enough good things about what Dan's doing for that Olympia. And you know what? I was never like, I don't give credit unless credit is due. And you and I have been hard on Dan in the past, because he used to scam Blackman out of all the money, to do the radio show that he spent, an hour on, 35 weekends a year. And Dan is doing a phenomenal job over there. He's putting all the right people in the right places. And that's why I think
the best people, Dave.
What?
He hires the best people.
He's doing it the right way, but he's also understands that the current social media environment we live in, where the press are important. They're not second-class citizens that should be happy to be there. He should want them to be there, and that's exactly the way he's making it seem to us. He's giving us access. I mean, Shawn Ray has been hired on also. I don't know what exactly his role over there at AMI is, but Dan is like, go on Dave's show, fucking talk about the Olympia, man. I'm not going to keep you under wraps where you can't do anything. He understands it. He's like, let's network. Let's use all these media sources to network to make the Olympia bigger than it is. And I did a rant this past week. I don't know if you listened to it about why I think that Kai will do the Olympia. I've changed my mind. Now that Phil kind of is hinting that he's doing it, Phil came out and his girlfriend wrote that he was, him and Hani Rambad were starting, their diet together. So I'm assuming that Phil's going to wind up announcing that he's going to do this Olympia.
I said Phil will never compete again until Phil saw Shawn in Pittsburgh, and then Phil got on the. I'm dead serious.
Well, I think Phil also didn't know how he was going to look, because he got another surgery after his Olympia, loss, and I think he was in a bad place mentally. I think now that he has been training and his body responded well, he's looking at himself. He's like, what the fuck? Why shouldn't I look? And like you said, he looks at Rhoden and he's like, why shouldn't I do the Olympia?
Dude, it's got more to do with Rhoden than newfound confidence.
Yeah, I agree. Well, who does he got to beat? Right? He's got to beat Rhoden.
And I don't mean that as a negative against Phil. It's just human nature. It's like,
you got to beat Mr. Olympia. He's looking at Mr. Olympia,
and you just measure in your head.
Right.
If Shawn was looking at Pittsburgh like a demon, like a superhero, then Phil would take the year off. That's what I believe.
I think you're right. So I think he sees vulnerability, and he's like, well, why not? Why wouldn't I want to win $400,000 and get an 8th Olympia title in my belt? So I think Phil's going to do it. Okay, and because I think Phil's going to do it, I think that's going to pull Kai in. I think a lot of people would have said originally Kai won't do it if Phil does it.
I don't think Kai will do it. If Phil does it, Kai won't do it.
I'm going on record. You and I can go on record. You're saying Kai won't do it. I'm saying that Kai will do it. I'm going to say why Kai's going to do it, because Kai is the kind of artistic guy who needs to write a dramatic ending to his bodybuilding career. We know he wants to win the Olympia, okay? We know that Dan's in there basically willing to accommodate him in any way whatsoever, okay? We also know that, he's got an open invite. All he's got to do is ask for it. Jim Manuel will give him the invite to the Olympia. So he can go. We also know that Kai definitely has to have a bad taste in his mouth after all those years of losing to Phil. With the last year there they almost got to a fist fight on stage.
Yep.
So he wants to beat Phil. He knows Phil's vulnerable, obviously. He lost the Olympia. Okay, so that takes Phil out of the driver's seat, so to speak. Kai also knows he's beaten, Rhoden plenty of times. He knows that he's got vulnerabilities, okay? So I think that Kai in his mind will create this drama that, hey, if I come into this Olympia, no one, I'm the dark horse now. I've been out of competition for a number of years. Phil's, coming back to try to win his Olympia, and I come back and I win the Olympia. This will be the greatest ending to my career of all time. This will be the greatest story in bodybuilding, maybe ever. And I think that drama is just too much for Kai to turn down. I really believe that we will see Kai at the Olympia. Now, if I'm wrong, Dave's wrong again. If I'm not, if I'm right, then you know what? People are going to say Dave's a genius. I really do. I don't think Kai can turn down the idea of showing up and having this showdown on that Olympia stage not only between Phil, Shawn, and Kai, but there's you got Brandon Curry who won the Arnold, who looks amazing. Ruli Winkler in shape is dangerous, and of course, who knows what's going on with Big Ramy? But he can be there too. I mean, this could be one of the best Olympias of all time.
I think if Phil was in the show and Kai was in the show, it's funny. Shawn said he wanted them back, so be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
If you see them both in the show, then it is definitely going to be an electrifying Olympia.
And if Shawn wins that defends his title against those two guys, what does that say about Shawn? That validates Shawn Rhoden more than anything. No one can ever say Shawn Rhoden is not a legitimate, Mr. Olympia, because if he beats those two guys and puts them in his rearview mirror, and no one can say, well, Phil's 40. You can't say that because Shawn's older. So Shawn, if he beats those two guys, it's a legitimate, win for him and validating Mr. Olympia. Is,
right? We don't know how old Kai is.
I think Kai's the same age as Shawn, to be honest with you.
Let's see. Jay knows how old he is.
He's about, I think he's Jay's age, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's Jay's age.
So how old is Jay? Chris is going to go back and figure out the Teen Nationals.
Yeah, Teen Nationals. That's what I was going to say. Teen Nationals was 92.
Oh, my God.
Pretty good. So anyways, Jay must be like 43 or so.
Yeah, it's 44 maybe.
I met Kai with Jay. It had to be 20-something years ago. And we were at the Night of the Champions when it was at the Beacon Theater. Mm-hmm. And Jay had won some amateur show in California. Or maybe he had won I think he had won the Nationals. And, Jay was always like crazy wide. Sure. And we were standing next to each other, and somebody came up to talk to him, and it was Kai Green. I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
And he was like this young kid, and his physique looked like, anyways, he was ripped and, smallish. Nothing like he obviously is today. And he had a fishnet. He had this is 20-something years ago. People didn't dress like that way. He had
I know exactly what you're going to say. Fishnet
shirt on.
I remember that.
And Jay says, this is Kai Green. And Jay said he's going to be something special. And Kai, I'm telling you, Dave, Kai did not believe that when Jay told him you're going to be something special.
Right.
And Jay said, you watch, you are.
But notice Jay didn't say you're going to be Mr. Olympia. Jay didn't go that far.
No, he called me the day he met Phil and said, this guy, the day he met Phil.
Yeah.
The day he met Phil, he said, this kid's going to be Mr. Olympia.
Wow. Just
crazy, right?
Because well, he had those crazy tie-ins and all the fucking detail.
Yeah, he said, I bet this kid, he looks like a combo of, quote, Flex Wheeler and Kevin Levrone.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe at that time because he was little, he was smaller,
Yeah.
He was proportionate, like his proportions were crazy. Phil's problem, if Phil was 2 inches wider, bone structure wise, he might have been the greatest of all time,
Yeah.
That's his only, because he doesn't look that impressive in the lineup. Mr. Olympia's always looked really impressive in the lineup. Jay always looked the biggest up there. Ronnie always looked the biggest up there. Dorian always used to look the biggest up there.
True.
Haney always looked the biggest. I mean, Dexter was a smaller structure, but he's pretty wide, Dexter, for a short guy,
Yes, he is wide. He's very wide.
And Rhoden's wide, too.
Yeah, Rhoden's very wide.
He's surprisingly wide,
Yeah.
And I think that's what really gets people. You see him alone, he's like, okay, he's all right. You see him in the lineup, he fucking makes everyone look, bad.
Yeah.
He makes the guys that you think are really good look bad in the lineup.
True. In a tank top, even when he wins the Olympia, at like the trade show, he still looks like an 8th place guy.
You'd never know it. But look, the Olympia is won when you compare guys against each other, and that's when Shawn makes everyone look, bad. So I think it's going to be a really good Olympia. I'm actually upset that I'm not going to be there. But you'll be representing me.
Yeah, I wanted to see if you could get me and Jose to do all the.
I'll get Jose to take my press pass. You, Sid, and Jose.
You gotta get him early because the other guy's trying to get him.
Who?
No, I don't know. Muscle Sport, Muscle something, Muscle Maximum.
Whatever. Let him. If they want to pay him, they'll pay him. They'll get him. I don't care.
It can't be just me,
I'll get you someone. Don't worry about it. There'll be You'll have Milos. At the Olympia, you have the whole. Chad, Milos.
Bring in the experts. We can get you on Skype. Can we get you on Skype, or is that too close to the delivery?
Yeah. Everyone wants to get in on the wrap up. You know that. You'll have Sid holding the microphone. You'll have 14 people there. 14 Mr. Olympias wanting to fucking comment on what happened. Thank God for live streaming. We get to sit home and watch it. But once again, anytime you have like an opportunity to have an unknown variable in that Olympia lineup, that's when it gets exciting. That's why 98 was so exciting, don't you think?
98, I wasn't there. I got flooded in. It was I told you that before, right? A historic rainstorm.
Oh, I didn't know. You missed the 98? We probably talked about this before. I can't even remember.
I remember 98 because I was getting ready to go, and I'm telling you, there was a historic rainfall in Maine, and there was no way out of the state.
Wow.
I'm dead serious. All the roads leading out of the state were just flooded out. And I couldn't go to the show. Jay went.
Should have got a helicopter.
It was raining. I couldn't. I would have had Bleckman.
Could have landed on your roof with the helicopter.
I had tickets and everything. I couldn't go.
That's crazy. Crazy. I mean, I don't want to talk about this, but I guess we have to bring this up. Obviously, we all know about the death of Matt Porter. It took place this past week. I don't know if there's an official cause of death yet. Seems to be something heart-related, whether it be an arrhythmia or a heart attack. I'm sure we'll find out more about it. The guy was in his 30s, had a brand new son, less than a year old. And, it sucks when you see people drop like that, and everyone wants to usually point the finger, obviously, and, say steroids and all this stuff. And, what irritated me about the whole, well, not irritated, what bothered me is that, this Matt knew something was wrong with him. I don't know if you read the post. His wife posted a big, long post on one of the Facebook groups explaining what happened. And he didn't feel good for like a couple of weeks before this happened. And he had gone to the doctor and gone to the urgent cares, and they'd done the chest x-rays and said, you probably have a cold and this and that. And you know what? When you know something's wrong with you and people dismiss it, it's no one wants to hang out at a hospital or a doctor's office. So when a doctor tells you you're fine, go home. I mean, you go home usually, But when there's something in your gut that tells you that it's not right, you got to force the issue. Go to the emergency room. You got to go to an expert, because you know what? You never know what's going to happen. I can't stress it enough, Chris, to people. I went for a. I know I have no blockages in my coronary arteries. I've had a test a couple years ago. The doctor said, "Why don't you go and get a calcium score? You never know. Calcium's outside the blood vessels. You can't really see them on an angiogram." I said, "Fine." I went for a calcium CT with calcium. A cardiac CT with calcium score. I had 0 calcium, but I found out I had an enlarged aorta. Now, I might not need the aorta. Anything. They may not have to do anything to it. They're going to watch it, from what I went to see a surgeon to take a look at it, because if the aorta ruptures, you die, basically. That's called an aortic dissection. That happened to Chris Dim. Luckily, he didn't die from it, but he almost did. And then they went and tried to fix his aorta, his descending aorta, and that's when he wound up paralyzed. So, I mean, these are things you don't even know about. So, but I was lucky that I went for a diagnostic test and found out about it, A lot of people don't find out these things because and the funny thing is that Matt really did go for a lot of testing. He was always getting blood work done. Now, I don't know what was wrong with him. His wife insinuated something had happened in 2015. He had high blood pressure and there was some other issues with his heart, but he had been getting monitored on a regular basis. So I don't know what happened, but it's terrible when you hear about a guy in his 30s, dying suddenly. It's almost unnecessary. And that's where I think people are very upset with this whole thing, because this was a young guy. Yeah, he took PEDs like everyone else did, but he was at a stage where he really wasn't going nuts with things anymore. He kind of had his family. He was watching his health, and yet he still succumbed. So it just goes to show you don't know when your time's up. It's impossible to know. We can sit here and try to figure it out and get meaning from it, but there is no meaning. It just means that you better live your life, to its fullest. I mean, you and I were discussing when the day it happened that, what? Who knows? You might not wake up tomorrow morning. I might not wake up tomorrow morning.
Dave, I every single morning I wake up. I'm dead serious. First thing I do is thank God that I'm alive.
Yeah,
and
true.
The last thing before I go to bed is the same, because let me say this about Matt Porter's death, before people jump to a conclusion. I can't tell you how many people just recently I know, 36-year-old guy, doesn't work out, okay? But someone I know fairly well, I wouldn't say he's in shape, but lean, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, heart attack, dead.
It's crazy.
Multiple people in the last 3 years I know in their 40s, not smokers, not partiers, don't even live in, quote, unhealthy lifestyle, but don't, live a super healthy lifestyle, but not fat and, they don't have the hallmarks, overweight, smoking, and, heart attack. So granted, Matt came from a bodybuilding background. Granted, he obviously engaged in things that thousands and thousands of bodybuilders do, but people do have, health issues with heart attacks, and die who are outside the realm of bodybuilding at that age. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To play devil's advocate, or to advocate for what you're advocating for, you shouldn't blindly be engaged in bodybuilding activities and think nothing's going to happen to me.
True. His wife did bring up something. She said that, he didn't do alcohol. He didn't do, drugs. His drug of choice was bodybuilding. And, that could be deadly too, It could definitely be deadly because, you do things that are obsessive. You don't, the doctor tells you, hey, you have this vulnerability and that you can't let it go. So we don't know if he was pushing the limit or not. The fact is it happened. Whatever happened, and, now his family has to live with the ramifications of that. There's a GoFundMe campaign for his child, because you can't understand. Matt was making good money. He was a good contest prep coach. I'm sure he was. He had a supplement company. Now that money is not going to be there for his family. His wife and his kids. Yeah. So I know they've raised about $37,000 already in 2 days or something like that. So you can go to the GoFundMe campaign, and the original goal was $10,000. Now they're up to they reset it because so many people were donating, which is amazing. And if you got $5-10, chip it in. It all adds up. The more money they have, that's only going to help his son, moving forward, and help his wife, pay some of the bills that are going to come up throughout this kid's lifetime. Hopefully they can save this money for, college fund or something like that. And, this is just something that us iron guys do for each other, because it can happen to any of us, And you know what? Before I had a kid, if I would have dropped dead, it wouldn't have really mattered. Yeah, the people in the industry some people would be happy, some people would not be so happy, but it wouldn't really affect, my family because I didn't, because I wasn't, my sister would be upset. But now I have a family, I have kids. My kids need to be influenced by me. I want to be there to be their mentor and to guide them, and that's something that his son is not going to have now. So that I think is the hardest part of the whole loss. And I think it's important that we talk about it because I think a lot of the people in our community, it's bothering them a lot. I called Phil Viz right after because I figured he would know, what happened because they're best friends. He didn't even know. So he was like crying on the phone to me, like a little baby. Mm-hmm. And because they were very tight, I could understand it. If someone told me you died, or I'm sure vice versa, I would probably be in tears too. I mean, because this is a guy, I talk to you every day. They talk to each other every day, and it's a tough loss. It's a tough loss. It's like when Dallas died. The guys that were friends with him, I'm sure, felt the same way. Flex Lewis over there, and what's his name over in Canada, Jocelyn Arnowitz, were very emotionally, affected by that. So Matt, I'm sure you're watching and listening from up there. We got you back. We missed you, and to his family, we send out all our condolences and prayers, obviously.
Yeah, agreed. It's sad.
Yeah, very sad. And I'm sure the people he was working with, all the clients he had, are blown away too, because that's a big impact. Some of the people he worked with, he probably had a couple. I'm sure he worked with them for several years, and you build up a relationship with them. And to find out your coach is dead, I mean, it's terrible thing. All right, let's talk about something a little bit more fun. The Toronto Pro Show, or as they call it, the Toronto Super Show. And the reason it is a super show is because they have every division, even women's bodybuilding, represented here. And let's go right to the men's open, where Jon Delarosa really, delivered. I mean, Chris, with a convincing victory here. I mean, beating some good guys. Ian Valliere, Josh Wade in third, Joe Seaman in fourth, and Quentin Aria, who I had mentioned that would be a force to be reckoned with for sure. Give me your impression of Delarosa on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best Delarosa we've seen, 1 being the worst. Where was Jon?
I think this is the best we've seen.
Really? Okay. That's
the best, or, I think...
I agree.
Either the best or very close to the best.
Yeah, I agree.
I could evaluate that if he brought this package to the New York Pro, which means, a lineup that has more depth than the Toronto Pro, then I think you could make a more clear assessment of, is it his absolute best? But
I've never seen him this hard before.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why he's his best. I don't think he had more muscle than he's had. I just think he was the leanest we've ever seen him.
Yeah.
And he needed to do that because Ian Valliere is a fucking freak, I mean, he's like a Dorian Yates freak, tons of mass, a lot of conditioning. I agree with you. You mentioned earlier to me he looked a little flat. I think he was. But, I mean, he would have easily won the show if Jon was not in that crisp conditioning.
Totally agree.
I think Jon outconditioned him, actually, to be honest with you.
I agree with you there too.
Which I didn't think I would ever say. You know, before the show, I don't think I was going to say, hey, you know what, I was going to say maybe Jon was a better bodybuilder than Ian, but I never thought I'd say, well, Jon was actually in better shape than Ian. And I think you're right. I think it was because Ian was really flat here. I mean, and his tan didn't look that good. I don't know if these are just the lighting in the pictures, but what do you think about Ian Valier, this version of him compared to what we saw last year when he won that pro show in Spain?
I just, I think I thought he was a little flat here, like in the quads and through the. I just think I've seen him fuller.
Yeah,
and it's hard for somebody who's tall and who's tall to do both, to be full. It just is to be full and at your best condition, because I don't think there's anything negative you can say really about his condition, and I thought it was very, very good.
I just don't see the pop that I usually see to his physique, that grainy pop.
I think that's the pop has got to do with simply being flat here. I mean, I think if he was fuller, you'd see like more pop, and it would appear that his conditioning was far better than it looks tonight, which tonight, his condition was really, really good. It's just, I think if he was fuller, it would give that 3D appearance of like, wow, crazy conditioning.
Do you think he tried to come in too hard and try to maybe over dehydrate, and sometimes you do that, you go a little too far maybe, and you probably tomorrow he'll look like an absolute freak of nature.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's over dehydration or undercarb, or because it's, again, with someone who's bigger, there's so many more variables than just like, oh, I dehydrated too far. It could be you didn't dehydrate enough. You weren't quite dry enough, and you weren't quite full enough.
Yeah.
It's always with the taller guy more than one issue.
Yeah, it's hard to determine what exactly. And obviously, nothing went too wrong because he was still second.
Yeah, no, he looked very good.
He was still here, and he does look good. We're just trying to really figure out exactly what was going on. Now, when I look at the comparison shots, he's obviously a much bigger bodybuilder, and I'm sure this guy's out there going to say, "Oh, he should have won. He's so much bigger than Jon." But I thought Jon really, held his own up there really well.
I agree. I mean, if Jon wasn't in this level of conditioning, he would have been second.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Poor Josh Wade. Josh Wade is so hard here. He's such a freak, but he really maximizes his physique. And we said this last week. Josh is only going to place as good as who he's standing next to, So if there's guys that are structurally better than him, then he's going to lose to them, even though he could be at his absolute best, which I think he's at his absolute best here.
Yeah, I think he's at his absolute best. This is probably the densest look that I've seen.
Yeah, I agree.
Has more fullness than he did last week in California. He looks even tighter this week than he did in California. It's just he's done just a tremendous job being consistent. If nothing else, he's done an unbelievable job the last 2.5 years of being consistent and moving up. And
he should just do every show and hopefully maybe get to the Olympia on points.
Every show.
Just to say, fuck everyone. I made it to the Olympia. That's what I would do.
Well, not only you make it to the Olympia, I mean, you're still placing extremely well in shows.
Well, I'm saying if he keeps placing at these shows, do show after show after show and build up those points and wind up going to the Olympia. And then, just to say, just for a guy like Josh to say, hey, I made it to the Olympia stage. I mean, that's an accolade. I wish I could have been able to say that. I wish I could have been able to say I was an IFBB pro, but I'm just saying he has that ability because he's so consistent.
You're the only amateur guest poser with all the Olympians.
Yeah. People thought I was a pro, but I guess that's...
And you made pro money as an amateur.
Yeah, no, I did. I can't complain. I would have rather been done what I did than been a shitty pro. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's better to be the guy everyone's saying, oh, you should be a pro. Well, yeah, you know what? Maybe if I would have been a pro and I didn't do well as a pro, people would have said, what a crappy pro he was, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to tell you, I've been very impressed, and I don't really know much about him. Maybe I got to interview him. Joe Seaman.
Yeah, he just turned pro today.
Oh, is that the guy who turned pro and then they put him right into the pro show?
Okay. He wasn't good enough to be a pro, and then he got his pro card and then beats all the pros.
Unreal conditioning. Love it. Very, 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 very healthy looking muscle too. There's not a loose piece of skin on this guy's body. When you look at his back double bicep, you see the Christmas tree, you see the lower lat feathering. I don't see, like, you know how on some guys they have the skin? There's no skin. It's zero.
We got rid of that. Got rid of that 4 weeks out, I guess.
He'll be really good if he can put a little bit more muscle on his body, but this level of condition, this is like Andreas Munzer conditioning.
Yeah, his back double looks fantastic. Very, very, very sharp.
Nutty.
Very sharp.
It's deceptive.
Crazy field.
Yeah, it's deceptive when you start looking at it.
He probably could have placed higher.
Yeah, no, I think he could have. I think it's
maybe they just gave him like a not the best look because they figured, well, I mean, how good could he really be? He couldn't even turn pro until 2 hours ago, and now he's standing on stage. You know what I mean?
You know what? His front double's not as good as his back poses and side poses are way better than his front poses. And they judge.
It looks good. It looks good.
Yeah, it's all right. It's just he looks like that bodybuilder Joe Spinello a little bit, right? You remember Joe?
Yeah, he does look like Joe Spinello. Another Canadian.
Yeah, I was showing you my age. Well, I was impressed. So, Joe, congratulations on not only on getting your pro card, but placing top 5 at your first pro show, all on the same day. Can't get better than that. And then, of course, let's talk Quinton Aria. We spoke about him. In my predictions for the show, I said this guy's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He'll definitely be a top 5 guy. A lot of people told me he was going to do Classic. I don't know how this guy was going to make Classic, but he winds up doing the Open class. I mean, he's got probably the best structure in the top 5. What do you think about his future potential, this guy?
Very good. Super V-taper, flaring thighs, good calves, round. He just looks like he's got... only knock against him looks like he's got young muscle.
Yeah.
When regardless of... how hard he gets right now in his career, it's not going to look like Josh Wade hard.
No.
Or it's not going to look like, the guy who just placed ahead of him, Joe Seaman.
Let me hit you with a name. Just read my mind. Who am I thinking?
About this guy?
Yeah. Who's he remind us of?
Okay, let me go back to look at him. He reminds Dave Palumbo of not Max Charles.
No. He's Cedric McMillan.
Oh, Cedric.
Yeah. Look at his twisting back shots and everything.
Yeah. He does have a twisting back like Cedric.
Cedric would say he took it from him probably, right? But Cedric took it from him.
Cedric said they launched Classic because they didn't know what to do with me.
Oh, shit. Yeah, no, this guy's going to be good. He's going to be good. It's going to take him another couple of years, but he'll be good. Yeah. So congratulations, Quinton, for your first top 5 here. James Hollingshead finishes in that 6th position with Robin Strand 7th, Matt Kuba 8th. Eddie Breck. What happened to Eddie Brecamontes here? He was placing
not quite tight enough. I think holding a little water.
Yeah.
It could be sharper through the legs. If he's not, you'll see he's got strided glutes. He's got strided pecs. Blah 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 blah. But he's just going to be like bone dry.
Yeah, too many shows. I think his body's caught up to him. Big guys have trouble hitting show after show after show. Let me see here. 212. That was a surprise. Who's Adolphus Quioda?
Adolphus Quioda, if that's how you say his name, is
Quioda?
He actually lost to Dora 2 years ago at, I think, the Canadas. Dura beat him there. So these guys have like a little rivalry going.
Well, Dura got beat here. So
Yep. And it is
good decision on do you think?
Well, I think it could have gone either way. I think Dura's legs are a little thin. I think Dura had better true conditioning.
Mm-hmm. Should have put Guy Cisternino in this lineup.
This guy's got the freaky, he's got freaky legs from the front and freaky legs from the back, which helps. You know what I mean? When you can hit a back double and your hamstrings are real tight and your outer thigh is like hanging over.
I think Dura has much better back.
I do too. And
that's
he's sharper.
Yeah.
And he's got a better front double. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could argue it for Dura.
I'm sure he's pissed off. I haven't talked to him.
This guy's just got the wacky wheels, and he's wide too.
Yeah, no, he's got a good structure. It's hard to beat a good structure, but Dura's got a small waist too. I don't know.
Yeah, tiny waist, really.
I'm sure he's not happy.
Yeah, I just actually checked out the scorecards. I figured it would be like a 1-point type thing, and it looked like it was unanimous on the judges' scores.
Yeah, yeah. You know what though? Sometimes every judge thinks, well, this guy's just a little bit better. Even though it could be a really close decision.
Yeah.
So you can't really, just because some judges don't think that that this one deserved and that one deserved, it doesn't mean anything. It could still be a very close show, but every judge could just think, well, this guy just barely beat Dura.
Yeah, totally agree.
So who's the head judge of the show?
Either Jim or
Tyler. It was Tyler?
Tyler.
Oh, I don't know if he was for the men. It doesn't look like Tyler's signature. Gary Udit. Gary was the 212 head judge. Tyler judged the open. I don't know. It was definitely. I'm sure Dura is not happy, like I said, but he looked great. I think he looked better than the last show he just did.
Oh yeah, it looked much
He had
better.
contacted me and asked me, what should I do? But I said, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just come in a little fuller. He definitely was better.
What about the guy Prince Boabang?
Yeah, I don't even know who he is. All these Canadians came out of the woodwork for this 212 show, and they're really good.
Yeah, dense, full, hard. A little bit harder. This guy wins the show.
Isn't it weird that
and he's very hard in a lot of areas as well.
How does he have such big calves? Do you see this guy's calves? They're enormous. They're enormous calves. I thought this is true. Unfortunately, most African American guys don't have good calves.
I don't think he's African American.
Oh, he's not? What is he, Spanish?
No, I mean he may be from Africa.
Well,
there's a difference.
I don't think there's a difference. Usually black guys don't have big calves.
Well, are you? I guess
I'm making a stereotypical generalization.
Well, that's why I made the distinction between African American and African.
Well, I don't know if there is a distinction. They're the same descent.
Well, that's there's I mean, from our point of view, but I mean, right?
Wherever his ancestors were from, obviously big calves were
Africa's
evolutionary.
Not the size of Long Island.
It's true. It was obviously evolutionary to their advantage to have big calves. This guy's got the biggest calves I have ever seen. He's got Michael Lockett calves.
He looks very good. But boy, Edwards and Forth look very, very good too. I haven't seen him look this good in a long time. Little, right? You see him?
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
In very good shape. Cannonball arms, man.
Yeah.
They look a little Ernie Taylor-ish.
Yeah, those triceps look a little big. His legs are a little on the weird looking side.
Yeah, but they're still good. Look at his front lat spread. He looks phenomenal in it. Yeah. Side chest looks phenomenal.
It was like an all Canada 212 event here. It looks like crazy. I love it. I love to see a show where you don't know who's going to win. It's not a in the bag type of thing. 5th place was Steve Bentham, from Germany. What'd you think of him?
Very good condition. Little square, if that makes sense. You know, he's up against people with bigger V tapers.
Yeah, I was going to say, he doesn't have that V taper that these other guys have. He's a little blocky. Good lat spread, though. But I think that, you know, what happens when you don't have that width, you stand, we were talking about this before with how Rhoden beats guys because he has that width. I think in the lineup, you don't look as impressive. Maybe alone you look good, but then in the lineup, you know, you don't look as good.
Yeah.
So, they had, you know, it's always good when you have a good show. Now, Classic Physique was won by, who won the Classic? Hold on. I'm getting my men's
You don't know.
confused by Classic. The results just came in. Chris and I, you know, are just doing it as the results. It might not even be in yet, for all I know.
No, it's in.
It's in. You sure it's
We
in?
just don't know.
I'm looking at the scorecards on NPC News.
They don't have it. We're going to have to call in and pay a fee to Ron Harris.
That's right.
I went on his live feed today while he was broadcasting the show. I was trolling him.
Yeah.
I was asking him, who's sponsoring this live feed?
Oh, I didn't know who they did. They did a live feed from there.
Yeah, well, the live feed, they put the iPhone up and broadcast it on Instagram Live. That's why I said, who's sponsoring it? Who's sponsoring your iPhone? He said, High Tech.
Yeah, I don't know why High Tech gives the Blackman money. There must be some kind of like kind of arrangement there.
That's why I said, why?
I have no idea.
I was right on the live feed.
I have no idea. I can't figure it out myself. Hold on. All right, I get the results here. Hold on. No, they don't have it for some reason. They're not putting it in here. Maybe was there a controversial decision that I'm unaware of?
Not that I know of.
Was there Classic Physique there? I think they have it.
Go to reluctantly go to MD. You got to leverage even the people we don't like. I'll go to muscle development. Let's see, muscle development. Forearms. See if Ron Harris has the results. I told Ron Harris when he was doing the live feed, I said, Josh Wade is the Ron Harris of bodybuilding, or you're the Josh Wade of
They don't have any results up, Chris. What are you kidding me? They have 0 results. Let's talk about men's physique. I see the men's physique results are up. Julian Coley. No, am I looking at the right? Yeah, Julian Coley from Nova Scotia won.
Another Canadian.
Michael McPerry second. I don't even know who these guys are. And Matt Acton. Oh, I know Matt. He was third. I wonder why they don't have the Classic Physique results up. Fitness was won by Jody Boehm. Congratulations. Tamara Vaughn second. Sarah Kovac third. Pro Figure was won by Taryn Garlington from Alabama. Ann Banks second. Sandra Grajales third. That'd be a tough one. She's good. Bikini was won by Attila Santiago from Brazil. And I don't see Classic Physique. As soon as this show goes up, I'm gonna have like 4,000 people texting me and giving me the results. I won't need it by then, guys. I won't need it by then. You sure there was Classic Physique, right? I think there's everything. They even had wheelchair.
You can probably find it somewhere like on Instagram or something.
I don't know.
Let me see if I can find it.
I see the. I know there was definitely Classic because I see the names. I just don't. No one has the placings in yet. Maybe that ended last. Is it possible? There's pictures. I see the top 5. I just don't know who won. Oh wait, you know who I do know who won. Who told me? Someone gave me the results. What the hell is this kid's name? I'll find it. I'll find it. Maybe Muscle Insider has it. Weren't they there?
Yeah, that's their backyard.
I give anyone credit who's covering these shows nowadays because it's a long day. Can you imagine they had every division in Toronto? Every single division.
That's why they had to bring in Gary Udit as the judge, because he's used to doing those marathon shows.
Yeah, you're right. They're like, Gary, you want to run 2 marathon shows? You're going to have to come in and teach us how to do this thing. I don't think they have placings in yet. Let's see, contest results. Toronto Super Show. No, this is just predictions. What happened to Hadi Choopan? I thought he was supposed to come in. He was on the list. That was my big...
I know, Scud Missile shot him down when he was on his way over.
Scud Missile. What happened? How come Hadi Choopan didn't show up? I thought it's easy to
get Hanny on the show. Call Hanny up, see if he knows.
You know, talking to Hadi Choopan is about as hard as talking to Big Ramy. The guy, you can't find him. He must be hiding in a bunker someplace or something like that. My God. That's right. I completely blocked out.
He'll know. The King will know.
King Kamali. Yeah, I don't know. I really believe, or at least I remember, on the list, everyone was talking. We were all talking about Hadi Choopan. I've completely blocked out the fact that he was supposed to do the show. That was a bummer. I was going to have him smuggled over to your house, right over the Canadian border there, so that he can stay at your house till the Olympia.
He could. We don't have a fence on the northern border.
Yeah. in Maine, who the hell would find him? No. I was watching an interview with Howard Stern today. He's got a new book out called Howard Stern Comes Again, and it's about all the interviews he did with people, over the years. And he said the best. I think the guest he had on the most times was Donald Trump, and he was just talking about the Trump. Trump. I guess Trump was having this battle with this reporter for the Daily News. His name was, what the hell was the guy's name? Oh my God! And I guess they were fighting over some girl that this guy was dating and that Trump had dated. And they were on the air. They were fighting, and Howard was like moderating the fight. Trump was saying, "I got more money than you. I have a bigger penis than you." All these. He was insulting this guy. Howard couldn't believe the stuff that was coming out of his mouth. He's like, he's got no filter. He's like, he's the greatest guest of all time on the radio. And I guess Trump had called him up and wanted him to be like the keynote speaker at the Republican convention. And Howard had been for some reason, Howard was a Hillary Clinton supporter. So even though he was friends with Donald, and Donald was always on his show, he had to turn him down. He said, but for a moment, he goes, I said to myself, if I do this and he gets elected, I could be he could appoint me the head of the FCC. The same organization that had been fining him for his whole career. He's like, can you imagine? I could be the head of the FCC. But he never did it. He told Donald he couldn't do it. He actually talked about he wanted to get Hillary Clinton on. And he actually went in the Wall Street Journal and did an interview with them and laying out so that she would see ahead of time exactly what his plan was to humanize her, to make her, to talk about her childhood and all this stuff, to make her more appealing to the public. Which he probably would have gotten her elected, Howard. And she didn't do it. She didn't. I think she figured out how could I lose to Donald Trump, right?
She's probably too good for Howard Stern.
Well,
she's probably I'll tell you why she never went on. You know why?
Because she didn't think she was going to lose to Trump. That's why.
No. She was afraid Howard Stern was going to ask her about Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah,
I'm dead serious.
So what?
So she couldn't go on.
She should have told the truth. She said, "Yeah, my husband was fucking having an affair."
Well, that's what she don't have. She did. That
would have been. People would have been like, "She's a wonderful woman. She's stuck by her man." Howard would have made her palatable, I think, to people.
Yeah, I think you're right, but she was not, in her head. She just was not in a position to be embarrassed by Howard Stern.
I don't think he would have embarrassed
you
him.
could
I
ask
think he
Trump,
would.
hey, we heard that you, did X, Y, and Z. He said, guys will be guys.
Yeah. You want to hear something funny? We, believe it or not, at RxMuscle we have coverage of this event. It's only Saturday night here. That's why for people who might not understand why I don't have results and stuff like that, we tape these radio shows sometimes early because we have families sometimes. But I have the classic interview with the overall winner, Antoine.
You don't even know who's winning it, and then you already have the interview.
I have
How's
an
that
interview.
work?
Well, I didn't do the interview. My guy on who was at the show did the interview. He did a Delarosa interview. Wow, he did a great job. I'm looking at all these things right now. We'll have all this stuff up on RxMuscle. Make sure you look for it. We'll have complete video coverage. He did a great job. So I want to let everyone know that. Antoine won. I even interviewed Cody Montgomery was there. I don't know what he was doing there. Probably hanging out.
Supplement gig or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, this is good. We have good stuff. Did some good interviews. Got the wheelchair guys. We got the winner of the 212. I got to pat this guy on the back. Good job. Good job, David Liang. Sometimes, I get surprised by people's work ethic. He asked me, he said, Dave, I want to cover the show for you. I said, all right, I'll give you a chance. And as we're doing the show, I see these things pop up. He Dropboxed them to me, and I'll get these up in the next day or two so you guys can see all the interviews. Good job. See, we there's a lot of guys that really want to do a lot of good stuff for us, and I have people who contact me, Chris, a lot, saying, Dave, I'd like to work for RxMuscle and help you guys out, and I give a lot of people a lot of chances, and sometimes, most of the time, I'm disappointed. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, most of the time I'm disappointed, Chris, but I give everyone the opportunity to do it.
What about you didn't talk about the women's bodybuilding?
I haven't even got to it yet. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of classes. I don't know if the women's bodybuilding scores were there. How about that?
Oh, I would imagine who won?
I don't know.
Margie Marvelous.
I don't think she did it.
She did do it.
She did?
What is her last name? Did she change it officially to Marvelous?
Is that why I don't recognize it?
Yeah.
I don't know why there must be a Part A and Part B sheet on these scorecards here that I'm looking at the I'm on ifbb.com, ifbbpro.com, and they have the scorecards, but they don't have them all up here for some reason. I'm clicking on them. I see men's bodybuilding 212. People must be listening to this and say, "Would you stop already? Who cares about this fucking crap? Just talk about something else." Let's talk about Ronnie Coleman. What's Ronnie Coleman been up to lately?
I don't know, since the movie came out, right?
I know he's had surgeries since then. They don't have the results up on NPC News for some reason for women's bodybuilding. I don't know why. Can't figure it out.
Well, I'll take a guess and say Margie Marvelous won.
Is that Margie Martin? Is that the same person?
No, she goes by Marvelous.
I thought only Melvin Anthony goes by Marvelous.
No, until he's out of jail, she's taking the last part.
She's taking the last part. See, I didn't even recognize her. See?
Get King Kamali, find out. I want to find out from King Kamali, who knows everything about what's going on in the Persian world. Call Arash Rabar. He's in your... Oh, you're not in New York anymore.
I'm not in New York anymore, yeah.
Arash must know.
You think? Do you think he talks to him?
Yeah, he talks to him to find out what diuretic to use.
Oh my God, Chris, you're killing me. Yeah, I can't imagine Margie Martin not winning this. She looks pretty freaky. She looks a little like Laura Craval's physique.
Yeah, she's got a good beat taper, and she does. She's just a bigger version. She could be harder. She's just a freak. She looks incredible.
Yeah.
She's no 30-year-old either, and I don't mean that in a negative way.
Yeah.
She's older.
She is. She got started later too. She's got a lot of muscle in her body.
Ton of muscle.
it'll be interesting to see what happens next year if they bring the Miss Olympia back. I think they're gonna.
Oh, they bring it back.
I think they will. Hey, as long as Jake is from Wings to Strength is going to put up, $1 million.
That's why I said they'll bring it back.
Bring it back. They better bring it back.
It's funny how you can bring things back, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, let me go on to. Let me look at my notes here. That I don't my non-notes. There was another show, by the way, in this weekend. Mile High Classic took place in Denver, Colorado. Corey Morris won the men's physique, and Ashley Kaltwasser won the bikini. For anyone who cares, let's go back and talk about Jon Delarosa. So, Jon wins this show here. He beats a very good Ian Valliere, right? Where does that put him in this Olympia run now? Where do you see him? Can Jon break the top 6 looking like he does here?
He can.
He really doesn't have any weaknesses.
No, he has no weaknesses right now.
His weakness has always been conditioning, as far as I'm concerned.
And it depends. Throw in Kai, throw in Phil. Right.
Let's keep them out. Let's assume they don't do it because we haven't got.
Even Ramy out or in? Ramy out or in?
Well, everyone's talking about Ramy doing this. How is Ramy qualifying for this? That's what I want. I still don't know how Ramy, remember he said he made the announcement.
The Lebanese show. There's a show in Lebanon.
You think that's the show he's going to wind up doing that we suggested?
I think it's the George Ferrer Classic who used to prep him.
It is.
I don't know if there's a conflict there. Or
the question is, who is prepping him?
Oh.
I don't know if Neil Hill's still prepping him.
He'll probably call Neil after seeing what Jon looked like. I know how Remy thinks.
Maybe Dexter will go to Lebanon. No, but originally I was slated to do the Tampa Pro. Obviously Dexter's there. Then Ramy just announced that he wasn't competing, right? And then the next day he said he never said he wasn't competing, and he's competing. So obviously he's got to get to the Olympia stage. He's got to win some show. He's not going to get points, so he's got to win one show. What show is it going to be? Seems like the Lebanon show would make sense to me. That's why we brought it up originally. Is that where you think we'll see him?
Yeah, that's where he'll go, and we'll see. He's another one energized by Rhoden. He's thinking, okay, if Rhoden looks like that, then I still with an injured shoulder. That's how we think. Get ready for Lebanon.
The risk is if someone beats him there, that will be
nobody's going to beat him in Lebanon. The only danger is Dexter, in Tampa.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
But going back to Delarosa, where's he placed at the Olympia?
I don't know. I think he's got a good chance to crack the top 8 for sure.
Yeah.
Which would
how's he fare against Juan?
I think with the conditioning he brought to this show, I think he could beat Juan.
I do too.
Because I think he's got better legs than Juan.
What about Akeem?
I think he beats Akeem too. I think he's got a better back than Akeem. I think Akeem's got some more freak factor, but on the Olympia stage, I don't know. I think that Jon may be more complete.
Yeah. Well, he won this show on completeness, that's for sure.
Yeah. But that's how he wins all the shows that he wins. He's probably got more wins than the guys that you just mentioned.
Yes, he does. Probably.
I mean, over the course of the years, his career, he's got more pro wins, but his problem is he's not consistent with the conditioning. This is the best I've ever seen him conditioning-wise. Whatever he did for this show, he should write it down.
Yeah.
Follow it.
I agree.
Because it worked. It definitely worked. So, well, we got a lot of good coverage coming up this week, that's for sure. There's a lot of shows on the horizon. Every week seems to be another great show. Oh, by the way, in case you're interested, which you're probably not, and probably no one else there is that interested, but I hatched the snakes.
Dinosaur.
Yeah, a dinosaur, a T-Rex, a little one. It's a teacup T-Rex now. All my ball python egg clutches that I have in my incubator are starting to hatch now, and I actually hatched a scaleless ball python. No scales, 0. I'm not the first one to do it. There's been a couple of them, but I finally got one. I missed last year doing it, and it's the it's the coolest looking thing. If you guys, I don't really put pictures on my regular Instagram. I usually put it on my Palumbo's Pythons Instagram if people want to check out some of the crazy snakes I've been producing lately. But I got to send you a
I
picture.
thought the Palumbo Pythons was for the stuff to jimmy up your arms.
That too. Yeah, it's double entendre. That'd be a good name of a product, right? Palumbo's Pythons.
Palumbo's Pythons.
Palumbo's Perfect Python. There you go. New site injection oil. Chris and I just concocted on the show. So I got
Are
guys.
you going to sell this scaleless Python?
I don't know. I might if I have a chance to produce
you're
another.
too excited. You want to keep it for a while.
Yeah, well, if it's the only one that I produce, I'll keep it. But if I have a chance to produce another one, I have another clutch in the incubator. If I produce another one, I might sell one. It's hard. You know what? These snakes. The problem is it's like a pyramid scheme. So the snake might be worth $5,000 now. Next year it could be worth half of that. The year after that could be worth half of that. So sometimes it's good to cash in, try to make some of your money back. You know. I did a show on Iron Rage with Lee Priest this past week where we kind of. I was asking him about a comeback, and we were talking about what it would take to get him back on stage, and you know what's going on with it. It got people. I can't believe how people love Lee Priest. It still amazes me.
Yeah, they go crazy. Why?
I don't know. They love him. They love this guy. That's why I helped resurrect his career. You know, he was kind of in the dumps, and he was on the outs with the IPB. I said, Lee, can we do an interview and just bring you back? Because you're such a people just love you. I said, I mean, it's a shame that you're out of the loop. And so when we got him back, and I mean, now every week we were doing a show, and they love him. They want to hear what he's going to say next. He's like the Howard Stern, you know.
What's it take to get him back on stage? I guess
he had a car accident, and he damaged something in his neck, and which is compressing a nerve. So he had a surgery once, but they went from behind, and it didn't work, I guess. So they want to go through his throat, you know, and they want to, you know, basically clean it up in there and free up the nerve that's being compressed. Because right now he can't really feel the muscles on his right side like he does his left side. He had an arm shot from me with that left arm, though.
Huge.
Fucking looks like it's got to be 20 inches. The guy's only 5.
It's got the Palumbo's Python stuff inside of it.
Yeah. And you know what the funny thing is? The right arm that he claims is a little smaller. It still looks pretty dead. If anyone had that right arm, they would be very happy. Believe me. It's amazing. He's got to be Jay's age, right? Aren't they the same age?
40, yeah. Pretty much the same age.
He's in his 40s. I mean, he looks amazing, really. I mean, if he could ever... I said, Lee, get the fucking thing fixed. Stop with these alternative therapies. Go get the surgery, and by the time you know it, by this time, you know, at the end of the year, you'll be training again. Just get it done. He's got no response. He's got no like obligations to anything. Like for me to get anything done, I have to I got a kid on the way. I got two other kids.
You get to the grocery store is like a. Believe me.
I want to get my quad fixed again, but I can't. I have no time. I'm going to see the doctor actually next week just to see what he says about it, but I can't go get it done before my daughter is born in September or whatever, October. August. I'm gonna have to wait like a year after that to do it. So, Lee, I said, Lee, this is the time. You have a small window of opportunity here because you know the longer you don't feel a nerve, the less likely it is to come back either. So you want to get it done quickly. So I think he can make a comeback and do well. I really do. He's got a ton of muscle on him.
212 Mr. Olympia.
I don't know if he could win the Olympia, but he certainly could be up there. Wouldn't it be great to see Lee Priest in the top 5 at the 212 Olympia? Think about you want to talk about how the excitement that the fans would feel. You know, you talk about bringing like a Lavroni or Wheeler back. Forget about it. Lee Priest in the 212 Olympia. How about Lee Priest in the Open Olympia?
How about Lee Priest at the press conference?
He might never make it to the stage after opening his big mouth at the press conference. Oh my God! All right, well that's all she wrote. Congratulations, Jon Delarosa, for the big win and all the champions at the Toronto show this past weekend. We didn't get to break it all down because all the results hadn't come in yet. But I'm going to have all the winners' interviews, videos up on the RxMuscle YouTube channel and on RxMuscle.com. Thanks to David Liang. And guys, enjoy it. For now, though, we're we're done. We're done, Chris. It's 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday night. I still have 400 emails to answer.
Yeah, your India emails come in around this time. People are just waking up.
I haven't answered one email all day. My son's been sick, so I've been just kind of hanging out with him. So with my wife and
I know I had an Ask the Dave text about the guy who works for me for sinus. He has a sinus issue.
Yeah, you know what? I got news for you. My wife Amanda got a sinus infection a couple weeks ago, and it was the most. She doesn't ever complain of pain. It was the most brutal pain of all time. And finally, we convinced her to go to the doctor. Actually, we had taken her to the doctor, and they gave her one of these. Oh, you're fine, you know.
Yeah.
So they gave her some antibiotics for the sinus infection, and whoa, thank God, cleared it up. But it took a while.
Send me the name of the antibiotics so this guy can.
I think they put her on a Z-Pack, but I think Augmentin is actually better for that. To be honest with you. You know who put her on the Z-Pack? The dentist. She thought she actually was in so much pain. She thought she had a root canal. Yeah.
No.
And the dentist said, no, she took an x-ray. He goes, you have a sinus infection. He gave her a Z-Pack for 5 days, and she was better. But
what causes a sinus infection?
Just bacteria in there. Bacteria get trapped in there. But evidently it's brutally painful because pressure around your nose and those sinus cavities, it's just not fun. I remember years ago, I had a little like mole on the end of my nose. It was driving me crazy as a kid, and it really wasn't that big, but I knew it was going to get big. So I went to this dermatologist and had him remove it. In hindsight, it was like going to Bob Grushkin's house to get the guy had the office in his house. It was like weird. I was uncomfortable with the whole situation. Mm-hmm. And then he numbed up my nose. It took him like an hour to do this whole. It was a weird situation. Like I said,
did he have a license or just?
I think he did. I mean, he was in office, but there was like no one there. It was like he was doing the paperwork himself, and I'm like,
how'd you find him?
I don't know. He was on my dad's insurance plan. He was like around the corner from my dad's house or something like that. So I'm in there. So he's got me sitting up. I don't know why he didn't have me laying down. He has me sitting up, and he's like, with a scissor cutting this thing off my nose. And the pressure on my nose, I started to lose. I thought I was dying. I didn't know what passing out was at the time. I said to him, I said, can you stop? I think I'm dying. I said, he said, oh, he goes, I think you just passed out. He goes, lay down. And he laid me down I think on the floor or something like that. He lays me on the floor, and the pressure on my nose was just too much because anything around your brain fucking makes you go crazy, basically.
Of course.
And ironically, so he comes back with a cup of juice, and I drink this juice, and I get up, and he's like, you all right? I'm like, fucking take this thing off my nose already. I'm like, yeah, let's get this thing off my nose. I said, can I lay down while you're doing this, maybe? So he actually did a good job, the guy, but it was the weirdest situation. I should have left right away. I just wanted this thing off so bad I didn't care. The nutty things we do. Yeah, but the nose, anything around the nose, sinus cavities, eyes, temples, very vulnerable area.
Teeth, mouth.
Yeah, think about it. Remember when you were a kid, they said don't pop any pimples on your nose because it can go to your brain, and if it goes, and you can die. Did you ever hear that old book? Yeah, no, they said if you pop a zit and it goes inward rather than outward, and it's on your nose, it can get into the bloodstream and go right to your brain. And if that infected material gets in there, you can get whatever.
Never heard that saying.
Yeah, they would scare the crap out of me. I had a lot of pimples when I was a kid, so I had to take. It was a risk. It was a calculated risk if I was going to pop it or not, because there was always the chance, in the back of my head that I was going to die from this. It was going to go to my brain. Oh my God, the crazy things that parents tell their kids. I'm finding I'm telling my kids the same thing just because they don't listen. Don't do this, don't do that. This is going to happen. You're going to wind up in the hospital. You have to start making shit up, because they don't listen.
Yeah.
Now I know my parents make up these crazy things. I'm always like, why did my parents tell me this crazy stuff when I was a kid? Because I wouldn't listen otherwise. They got to scare you into it.
Threaten you.
They got to scare you. Fear. So look at fear. The police. Did your parents ever tell you the police are going to come arrest you if you do that?
Of course.
Yeah, my wife's telling my son's. She's like, the police are going to come take you away if you do those stuff.
If you don't behave.
Yeah.
I always do this to my kids. Shh, we're going to get kicked out of here.
They don't. If you say shush to my son, he gets louder. He'll do the opposite. So she's got to say that the police are going to come. Well, my new thing is, I know I got this from my grandparents who used to say this when we would go to the Chinese restaurant. You want to wash dishes? I don't even think my son knows what that means, but he gets scared by it. I said, do you want to go in the back and wash dishes?
What is that? Why would they say that?
Oh, they would be like, if you don't behave, you're going to have to wash dishes. You know?
Was it a penalty or something?
Yeah, you're going to have to wash. You're going to go in the back. They're going to make you wash dishes.
I never heard that saying either.
That's the Jewish guilt thing. You want to go wash dishes in the back? I'm like, no, of course not.
Yeah.
What kid wants to go wash dishes?
Be quiet and behave.
So I used it on my son. I spontaneously said it one day, and it worked.
Yeah,
It worked.
It used to work, though.
It worked. I said, do you want to go in the back and wash dishes at this place? Let's go. He didn't want to leave. I'm like, you want to go wash dishes? I think they need help in the back, I said. He's like, no. I'm like, I said, you better get in that car right now. Get in that car seat, or I'm taking you in. Right, the bagel store. This guy, David, owns the bagel store. My wife's like, you want David to come out? He's a big burly guy. You want David to come out here? He's watching you on the cameras, you know. You're not behaving. All right. Well, once again, our prayers go out to Matt Porter's family, and congratulations to all the winners at Toronto. Till next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Good night, everyone.